Tsukiguni Yoriichi was the most powerful swordsman of his time and remained unrivaled for over 500 years until the golden age of demon slayers came about in the Taisho era. But what if Yoriichi didn't have to fight alone? In today's video, let's take a look at what the Demon Slayer universe would look like if Tanjiro was raised by Yoriichi. Our story begins in the Sengoku era with a young Yoriichi training to become a swordsman. Even at the age of 7, he possesses unparalleled strength and raw potential, easily surpassing his masters. Unlike other swordsmen, Yoriichi was born with a Demon Slayer mark, which gave him access to the transparent world, a form of extrasensory perception that allows a fighter to see the inner workings of his enemy's body. Despite his immense talents, Yoriichi was a reserved and polite individual who was only truly understood by his wife, Uta. But Uta and her unborn child's deaths at the hands of a demon drove Yoriichi to the furthest depths of grief. This suffering gave Yoriichi the resolve he needed to become a demon slayer. In his quest to push beyond his limits, Yoriichi developed sun breathing, the foundation of all other breathing techniques used by the Demon Slayer core. Together with sun breathing and his other abilities like the selfless state, Yoriichi hunted down and critically injured Kibutsuji Muzan, forcing the Demon King to disintegrate his body into 1,800 pieces in order to escape. However, his failure to kill Muzan and his brother Kokushibo joining the demons led the Demon Slayers to banish Yoriichi from among their ranks, forcing him to be a wandering swordsman instead. Yoriichi meets Kamado Sumiyoshi later in life and saves Sumiyoshi and his wife from a demon. He befriends the Kamado family and is moved by the bonds shared between Sumiyoshi, Suyako, and Sumire. Sometime later, Suyako gives birth to another child, Tanjiro. One day, when Yoriichi is out, the Kamado family is attacked by demons once again. Sumiyoshi uses his memory of Yoriichi's sun breathing to fight off the demon using the Hinokami Kagura. However, he's not a trained fighter and eventually succumbs to his injuries. While Suyako and Sumire are killed by the demon, Sumiyoshi's valiant struggle buys just enough time for Yoriichi to return before Tanjiro is also devoured. The sun-breathing swordsman makes short work of the demon, but is unable to save his friend. When he looks at the infant Tanjiro, Yoriichi sees a kindred soul who has lost everything. He decides to raise the young boy as his own and train Tanjiro to avenge his family. Originally, Tanjiro only learned Hinokami Kagura by watching his father perform it during the winter. Based on these observations alone, he eventually managed to put together all 12 forms in his final fight against Muzan. But this time, Tanjiro is being trained directly by the creator of the technique. He doesn't need to figure out every step on his own. Together with Yoriichi, Tanjiro manages to refine sun breathing to suit his body well before his teenage years. His natural strength and hardiness is amplified through the rigorous training that Yoriichi puts him through. Tanjiro's keen sense of smell catches Yoriichi's attention early on. He realizes that honing this ability even further would give Tanjiro an edge in battle. Under Yoriichi's guidance, Tanjiro faces his first demons much earlier than in the original timeline. When he turns 10, Yoriichi begins taking him on controlled hunts to experience real combat situations. Thanks to these excursions, Tanjiro has more time to develop other techniques, such as total concentration breathing, the transparent world, and the selfless state. After discovering these abilities in battle, Tanjiro is able to refine them under Yoriichi's guidance, and approach demons on par with the 12 moons as a polished and complete fighter. As they encounter more and more demons, Yoriichi observes Tanjiro developing a unique quality, a sense of empathy that allows him to respect even demons as they pass from this world. Yoriichi observes this with quiet approval, seeing the pure humanity in his pupil that he himself struggles to maintain after decades of battle. By the time he's 13, Tanjiro has been training for years and is ready to join the Demon Slayers. Thanks to Yoriichi's training, he's head and shoulders above his competition and passes the final selection with ease. But it's not only swordsmanship that sets Tanjiro apart from his peers. Losing his parents so early has matured him beyond his years, making him more emotionally and spiritually stable than when he was trained by Urokodaki. Tanjiro learns to control his emotions under stressful situations, and has probably already fought a few demons alongside Yoriichi. He inherits the calm and stoic disposition of his mentor, while retaining his compassion and goodness of heart. However, a fire still burns deep within Tanjiro's soul. He learns about the Demon King Muzan from Yoriichi, and the desire to avenge his family grows with every passing day. As a wielder of the most powerful breathing technique, Tanjiro quickly becomes an asset to the Demon Slayers. Meanwhile, he feeds intel to Yoriichi as well, who continues to fight demons off the record. Despite Yoriichi being more involved in this timeline, Muzan will probably avoid resurfacing until the great swordsman is dead, so Yoriichi's story does not change in this timeline, with him eventually dying of old age during his final encounter with Kokushibo. However, the Demon Slayers of the Sengoku era will change considerably. Tanjiro will rise through the ranks and achieve the title of the Sun Hashira during his youth. Originally, the Demon Slayers developed the water, flame, stone, wind, and thunder breathing styles based on sun breathing, and had to improve these techniques themselves. However, Tanjiro's presence as a true sun breather sets a standard for them to aspire to. His strength will inspire them to surpass their limits, and his guidance will help them perfect their techniques much sooner. So when Muzan reappears after Kokushibo informs him of Yoriichi's death, he does not face the same weak Demon Slayer core. Instead, he goes against a professional fighting force that has been honing their skills for decades. This means that we will probably see a showdown similar to the original series, happening well before the Taisho era. As the Hashira grow in strength under Tanjiro's leadership, they begin taking out upper moons, intensifying Muzan's rage. Emboldened by their success, the Demon Slayers go on a mission to breach the Infinity Castle and challenge the Demon King. There they fight the powerful demons we already know, such as Nakime, Akaza, Doma, and Kokushibo. With Tanjiro and the other Hashira activating their Demon Slayer marks and red Nichirin swords, it's only a matter of time before Kokushibo is the only upper moon who stands in their way. The Upper Moon 1 presents a formidable challenge even to Tanjiro. His moon-breathing technique acts as a counter to sun-breathing and overwhelms the strongest Hashira. Despite his overwhelming strength, the sight of the familiar sun-breathing form sends tremors through Kokushibo's bones. Each fluid movement brings back memories of Yoriichi's prodigious swordsmanship. For the first time in years, Kokushibo feels the stirring of an emotion he thought had died along with Yoriichi: envy. He envied not only Tanjiro's skill, but also his inheritance of the sun-breathing, the only technique with a legacy greater than Kokushibo's. A single moment of emotional turmoil was all it took to shift the tide of battle. Kokushibo faltered momentarily, giving the Hashira a window to go on the offensive. With everyone working together and a few Hashira losing their lives in the process, the Demon Slayers are able to behead Kokushibo and permanently put him to rest. And this brings us to the final challenge, Kibutsuji Muzan. In this timeline, Tamayo has not yet developed her anti-Muzan poison, meaning that the fatigued Demon Slayers will be facing the Demon King at his full strength. As the battle begins, Muzan demonstrates why he is the undisputed Demon King. He relentlessly slashes at the remaining Hashira, pushing them back and forcing them to defend. Even when the Demon Slayers land a hit, it appears to be useless due to Muzan's immediate regeneration. The Hashira fight valiantly, but are gradually overwhelmed by Muzan's seemingly limitless power. In this desperate moment, overwhelmed by the grief of losing his comrades, Tanjiro accesses the complete selfless state. With no fighting spirit radiating from him, Muzan struggles to target Tanjiro. With his mind cleared, Tanjiro is able to use the transparent world more effectively, and sees Muzan's body as Yoriichi once did. He sees the vital points, the 7 hearts and 5 brains of the Demon King that he needs to target. In this state, with the future of humanity on the line, Tanjiro perfectly executes the 13th form of sun-breathing. Yoriichi had conceptualized this technique during his final days together with Tanjiro, but had never named it. Striking with a staggering combination of all 12 sun-breathing forms, this attack catches Muzan off guard. For a moment, he sees Yoriichi attacking him through Tanjiro's blade. As the Demon King freezes in terror, he's struck by the combined might of Yoriichi's swordsmanship and Tanjiro's unbreakable will. Muzan's body begins to disintegrate under the heat of Tanjiro's bright red blade. In his final moments, Muzan recognizes the similarities between Tanjiro and Yoriichi, not just in technique but in spirit. With the rising sun weakening him further and Tanjiro's relentless assault continuing, Muzan finally falls. And with that, the era of demons comes to an end much earlier than in the original timeline. Tanjiro, having fulfilled his vows to avenge his family, turns his attention to rebuilding a world free from demonic threats. With Muzan dead, the Demon Slayer Corps disbands and fractures into many schools of swordsmanship dedicated to preserving the knowledge of breathing techniques for future generations who might face similar threats. Is this version of Yoriichi's story more satisfying than the original? Let us know your thoughts down below, and stay tuned for more incredible Demon Slayer theories and what-ifs. See you in the next video. Bye!